Most people think airport delays are caused by bad weather, staffing problems, or airlines messing things up. And yes, sometimes that is true. But a lot of the time, travelers are quietly making the whole thing worse for themselves without even knowing it. One small mistake at check-in, security, or the gate can suddenly turn a normal airport trip into a stressful, time-wasting mess. In this video, we're going through 11 airport mistakes causing huge delays right now, including the ones people keep making over and over that slow everything down and put them behind before they even realize what's happening. So before your next trip turns into a long line, a panic walk, and a very bad start to your journey, let's get into it. Number 1. Arriving far too late for how airports actually work now. A lot of people still plan their airport timing like it is 2019. They think if they get there an hour or two before the flight, they will be fine. Then they walk in, and suddenly the bag drop line is packed, security is crawling, people are stuck repacking things at the checkpoint, and the whole airport feels like it is moving in slow motion. That is where the stress starts. Because once you are late at the airport, everything feels harder. You stop thinking clearly, you rush, you miss signs, you end up in the wrong line, and even one tiny holdup starts to feel like a disaster. What should have been a normal check-in turns into that horrible feeling of watching the clock and realizing you are now depending on everything going perfectly. And that is the problem. Airports do not work perfectly. Not right now. There are too many things that can slow you down before you even get near your gate. A long queue at the check-in desk, extra screening at security, a random document check, a packed shuttle from parking, a slow-moving family group in front of you. Even just getting dropped off in heavy traffic can eat into your time faster than people expect. The mistake is not just arriving late, it is assuming the airport will move at your pace instead of its own. Smart travelers now build in more time than they think they need because it is much better to be sitting at the gate with a coffee than doing that fast, panicked walk through the terminal while pretending you are not already in trouble. So if you want to avoid one of the biggest delay mistakes people are making right now, stop aiming for just enough time. At airports, just enough time has a nasty habit of turning into not enough time at all. Number 2. Not having your documents ready before you reach the front. This sounds basic, but it is one of those mistakes that keeps slowing everything down because so many people still wait until the very last second. They get right to the front of check-in, security, or boarding, and then suddenly start digging through their bag for a passport, opening their phone to find a boarding pass, adjusting brightness, searching through screenshots, or trying to get an app to load on weak airport Wi-Fi. And that is when the whole line starts to stall. The staff member is waiting, the people behind are watching, and now the traveler is flustered because the pressure is on. What should have taken a few seconds turns into this awkward little scene where everyone is stuck while one person tries to remember where they saved everything. The worst part is that once people panic, they usually get even slower. They open the wrong app, pull up the wrong barcode, realize their passport is buried in another pocket, or hand over something that is expired, cracked, or not the right document at all. It is a small mistake, but it can cause a surprisingly big delay, especially when lots of travelers are doing the same thing one after another. Smart travelers do the opposite. Before they even get near the front, they already know exactly where their passport is. They have their boarding pass open, their phone brightness up, and anything important ready to go. It makes the whole process smoother, faster, and far less stressful for everyone. Because at the airport, the worst time to start getting organized is when it is finally your turn. Number 3. Packing your carry-on like security is not going to look inside it. A lot of people still throw things into their carry-on at the last minute and hope for the best. They pack chargers, drinks, toiletries, snacks, tablets, random little items, and then act surprised when security pulls the bag aside. But if your bag is cluttered, overstuffed, or packed in a way that makes things hard to see on the scanner, you're practically asking for a delay. And this is where one small mistake starts turning into a bigger one. Because once your bag gets flagged, you are no longer just walking through with everyone else. Now you are standing there waiting while someone searches through your stuff, pulls things out, asks questions, and slows down the whole process while other people keep moving. It is frustrating, it is awkward, and it usually happens to the people who are already cutting it fine. Sometimes, it is not even about bringing something banned. It is just about bringing things in a messy, confusing way. Too many loose cables, large electronics buried under clothes, liquids shoved into random pockets, or items packed so tightly they all blur together on the screen. Security cannot tell what they are looking at straight away, so your bag gets stopped. Smart travelers know the goal is not just to pack light, it is to pack clearly. Keep liquids easy to grab, keep electronics where you can reach them quickly, and do not cram your bag so full that it looks like a mystery box going through the scanner. The easier your bag is to understand, the faster you usually get through. Because at the airport, messy packing does not just waste your time, it can hold up everyone behind you too. Number 4. Wearing the wrong thing to get through security quickly. A lot of travelers still dress for the flight without thinking about the airport part first. They wear big boots, tricky sandals, lots of jewelry, belts that set everything off, jackets full of pockets, or outfits with so many layers that getting through security turns into a whole performance. Then, when they reach the checkpoint, they are suddenly the person holding everyone up while they take half their outfit off into a tray. And it does not take much for this to become a delay. One slow person turns into a small bottleneck, then the line starts backing up, and suddenly everybody behind them is standing there watching someone wrestle with boots, dig coins out of pockets, remove a belt, pull off a watch, and try to carry everything forward without dropping anything. It is one of those things that looks minor, but it wastes more time than people realize. The worst part is that stressful airport dressing usually creates more stress later too. People are rushing to put everything back on, trying not to leave anything behind, juggling phones, passports, bags, and shoes, and now they are flustered before they have even made it past security. All because they dressed in a way that made a simple process harder than it needed to be. Smart travelers know airport clothing should be easy, simple, and quick to deal with. Shoes that come off without a fight, pockets kept mostly empty, minimal metal, and layers that are easy to manage make a huge difference when you're trying to move through security without drama. Because the airport is not the place to wear an outfit that needs its own unpacking process. Number 5. Forgetting that your phone is now one of your most important travel documents. A lot of people still treat their phone like it is just something nice to have at the airport, when now it is often doing half the work. It holds your boarding pass, flight updates, gate changes, booking emails, airline app, hotel details, transport plans, and sometimes even your passport backup or travel paperwork. So when a traveler shows up with a nearly dead phone, no charger, no power bank, or no screenshot backups, things can go wrong very quickly. And this is where delays start building in a really annoying way. The boarding pass will not load, the airline app freezes, the airport Wi-Fi is slow, the battery drops into the red, and suddenly the person who thought they were ready is standing there trying to make a dead phone do one last job. Everyone behind them is waiting, the staff are waiting, and now the traveler is in full stress mode over something that could have been sorted before they even left home. What makes it worse is that airports are not always as charger-friendly as people hope. Seats with working power points get taken fast, charging stations can be crowded, and some people do not realize how quickly their battery drains when they are using maps, apps, messages, mobile data, and screen brightness all at once. A phone that felt fine at home can suddenly feel very unreliable halfway through the airport. Smart travelers do not leave this to chance. They charge their phone fully before leaving, bring a working cable, carry a power bank in their carry-on, and keep screenshots of anything important in case the app or internet lets them down. Because once your phone becomes part of your travel paperwork, treating it casually is a mistake. At the airport, a dying phone does not just feel inconvenient, it can slow everything down at exactly the wrong time. Number 6. Getting in the wrong line because you assumed all airport lines do the same thing. This happens more than people admit. People see a line, join it, and only then realize 10 minutes later that it is the wrong bag drop, the wrong airline counter, the wrong security entrance, the wrong boarding lane, or the priority line they were never meant to be in. And by the time they figure it out, they have already wasted time and usually feel too annoyed to even think straight. Airports are full of lines that look almost identical until you actually read the signs properly. That is what catches people out. When the terminal is busy and everyone is moving fast, it is easy to copy what the person in front of you is doing and assume it must be right. But one wrong cue can throw your whole timing off, especially if you are already cutting things close. The real problem is that getting in the wrong line often creates a second mistake straight after it. Now the traveler is flustered, they have to leave the line, drag their bag somewhere else, join the correct queue at the back, and start all over again while watching other people move ahead. It feels small, but it can be the kind of mistake that turns a manageable airport trip into a rushed one. Smart travelers stop for a few seconds before joining any line. They check the sign, confirm the airline, look at whether it is bag drop, check-in, priority, or general boarding, and make sure they are actually where they need to be. It sounds obvious, but airports are full of people losing time because they were in too much of a hurry to pause for 5 seconds and read properly. Because at the airport, moving quickly in the wrong direction is still wasting time. Number 7. Waiting until the last second to get ready for the security belt. A surprising number of people stay completely unprepared right up until they are standing directly in front of the trays. That is when they start taking laptops out, hunting for liquids, emptying pockets, removing jackets, pulling off belts, and trying to work out what goes where, while everyone behind them inches forward and silently loses patience. This is one of those airport mistakes that causes delays because it creates a chain reaction. One person hesitates, then the next person has nowhere to move. Then the trays stop flowing properly, and suddenly the whole line starts bunching up. It only takes a few unprepared travelers to make security feel much slower than it should. What makes it worse is that people often know they're heading into security, but still act like it is going to somehow sort itself out when they get there. Then comes the awkward panic. Shoes half off, passport in one hand, phone in the other, jacket slipping off one shoulder, and a bag that somehow became much harder to manage the second people started watching. Smart travelers do the opposite. While they are still in line, they get themselves ready. They know where their liquids are, where their electronics are, what is in their pockets, and what they will need to put into a tray. So by the time they reach the front, they are not starting the process. They are finishing it. Because at airport security, being ready a minute earlier can save you a lot more than a minute. Number 8. Blocking the gate area long before your group is even called. This one causes more airport chaos than people realize. The gate area is already crowded, people are trying to sit down, families are moving around with bags, and staff are making announcements. Yet there is always a group of travelers standing right at the front as if boarding is about to close in the next 10 seconds. Their group has not been called. Their row is nowhere near boarding, but they are already planted there, blocking the lane and making everything harder for everyone else. And this is where delays start creeping in. When too many people crowd the gate too early, it becomes harder for the staff to see who should actually be moving, harder for passengers in the correct group to get through, and harder for the whole boarding process to stay smooth. Instead of one clear flow, it turns into a slow shuffle of people stepping aside, squeezing past each other, and asking who is meant to be going where. It also creates confusion because some travelers see the crowd and assume boarding must have started for everyone. So they stand up too, join the mess, and suddenly the gate area turns into that usual airport scene where nobody really knows if they are lining up, waiting, or just standing there out of fear of being left behind. It looks busy, but it is not efficient. Smart travelers know there is a difference between being ready and being in the way. They stay close enough to hear the announcement, keep an eye on the screen, and wait until their actual group is called before moving in. That makes boarding easier for staff, less stressful for other passengers, and far less chaotic overall. Because at the airport, hovering near the gate does not get you on faster. It usually just helps create the very slow down people complain about. Number 9. Ignoring the boarding time and only paying attention to the departure time. This catches people out all the time. They look at their flight and see the departure time, then build their whole airport plan around that as if that is the moment they need to show up at the gate. But by the time the plane is due to depart, boarding is usually already well underway or completely finished. So people who think they are still doing fine can suddenly find themselves racing through the terminal while the airline is already calling final boarding. And that is how the delay panic starts. A traveler grabs food, goes shopping, sits down to charge their phone, or wanders off to the bathroom thinking they still have plenty of time. Then they glance at the clock, realize they were working off the wrong time, and now they're doing that horrible fast walk through the airport, hoping the gate has not already started closing up. What makes this worse is that gates can change, boarding can start earlier than people expect, and airlines are not always flexible if you cut it too close. Some travelers hear departure time and think that means the door will still be open until then. It usually does not work like that. The plane might be leaving at that time, but you are meant to be seated, settled, and ready long before that. Smart travelers focus on boarding time first, not just departure time. They know when boarding begins, when they want to be near the gate, and how long it will actually take to get there from wherever they are in the airport. That simple shift avoids a lot of unnecessary stress and silly last-minute rushing. Because at the airport, departure time is not your warning. It is your deadline. Number 10. Not checking for gate changes after you think the hard part is over. A lot of travelers relax the second they get through security. They grab a drink, sit down, maybe start scrolling on their phone, and assume they are basically done. But airports change things all the time. Gates get moved, boarding areas switch, announcements get missed, and sometimes the screen you looked at 20 minutes ago is already out of date. That is where this mistake becomes a real problem. Because the traveler thinks they are being calm and organized, when really they have stopped paying attention too early. Then, all of a sudden, they notice people around them standing up, or they hear their name on an announcement, or they check the screen and realize their gate is no longer the one they were heading for. Now what should have been a relaxed wait turns into a rushed walk, a panicked speed march, or a full-on sprint to the other end of the terminal. And the worst part is that airports are bigger than people remember when they are under pressure. A gate change might sound small, but if it sends you from one end of the terminal to the other, that can eat up a lot more time than you expected. Add in crowds, escalators, families blocking the walkways, or a stop for another document check, and suddenly, you are right back in stress mode. Smart travelers do not just check their gate once and switch off. They keep an eye on the airport screens, check the airline app again, and stay alert right up until boarding starts. Because getting through security is not the finish line. It is just the point where a lot of people stop paying attention too soon. At the airport, one gate change at the wrong moment can undo all the good timing you had. Number 11. Stopping dead in busy walkways when the airport is already crowded and moving. This is one of those things people do without thinking, but it slows everything down fast. Someone gets off an escalator, walks out of a shop, leaves security, or reaches a sign and then just suddenly stops. Right there, in the middle of the flow. And the people behind them are forced to swerve, slow down, bump bags, or come to a stop as well. It only takes one person doing this in the wrong spot to create a messy little traffic jam. And airports are full of those pressure points. The end of moving walkways, the bottom of escalators, the entrance to security, the middle of narrow corridors, right outside boarding gates. These are the worst places to pause and just quickly check your phone, read your boarding pass, fix your bag, or decide where to go next. Because what feels like one harmless second to you can throw off everyone behind you who is trying to keep moving. The reason this causes such big delays is because airports work best when people flow. The second that flow breaks, everything gets clumsy. People start stepping around each other, dragging luggage in weird directions, blocking lanes, and creating that irritated airport energy where no one says anything, but everyone is thinking the same thing. Why are you stopping here of all places? Smart travelers know the trick is simple. Keep moving until you are clearly out of the way, then stop. Step to the side, find a quiet spot, and then check your gate, read the sign, answer the message, or sort your bag out there. It makes the airport smoother for everyone, and it stops you becoming the person silently driving everybody mad. Because a lot of airport delays do not start with some giant disaster. They start with small, everyday mistakes people keep making without thinking. And the good news is, once you know what they are actually pretty easy to avoid. So the next time you fly, give yourself more time, stay organized, keep paying attention, and make the airport easier on yourself instead of harder. And if you have ever seen someone doing one of these and thought, "Oh no, this is going to slow everything down," you were probably right.